All right. One more Trump thing before we move on to other things. Donald Trump published a statement yesterday in which he demands that Mike Pence actually be investigated for not stealing the election. Now, there's a really great article in Vanity Fair from Bess Levin about this, where she describes she describes Trump's statement as febrile and grammatically offensive, which is maybe the best way to describe any Trump statement that I've ever heard. And we're going to look at that statement in a moment. I encourage you to actually read the article by Bess Levin in Vanity Fair. But the point here is that not only is Trump saying he wanted Pence to overturn the election, and we've learned more about this in the last 48 hours. He actually thinks maybe there should even be an investigation into Pence. So here is the statement put out by Donald Trump yesterday. And again, it reads like one of these tweets, and there's random capitalization and all sorts of different things. Quote, "So pathetic to watch the unselect committee of political hacks, liars, and traitors work so feverishly to alter the Electoral College Act so that a vice president cannot ensure the honest results of the election, when just 1 year ago, they said the vice president has absolutely no right to ensure the true outcome or results of an election." In other words, they lied. And the vice president did have this right, or more pointedly, could have sent the votes back to various legislators for reassessment after so much fraud and irregularities were found. Now, that's not true. We looked already at the 12th Amendment and the Electoral Vote Act, I believe it's called, of 1887. I think I'm now not remembering the year. I think it's 1887. We looked at this earlier in the week. It's already clear to 99.9% of people that Mike Pence can't overturn the election or do the things Trump wanted him to do. The reason that now the language is considering being updated is specifically because of bad actors like Trump, who are either deliberately or out of ignorance misunderstanding what the powers of the vice president are in counting electoral votes. OK, back to the statement as it gets even crazier. If it were sent back to the legislators, or if Nancy Pelosi, who is in charge of Capitol security, had taken my recommendation and substantially increased security, that's a lie, by the way, there would have been no January 6th as we know it. Now, it's fascinating to see Trump say, on the one hand, the rioters are being treated unfairly, and he'll give pardons to some of them, and the sentences are unfair, while at the same time saying Nancy Pelosi upping security could have prevented it. If they didn't do anything wrong and they're being treated unfairly and being punished when they shouldn't be punished, why is it we needed? Why would security need to stop people from doing something that wasn't a problem? It's completely incoherent, as you can tell. And then Trump going on to say, therefore, and this is like the key whacked out line, therefore, the unselect committee should be investigating why Nancy Pelosi did such a poor job of overseeing security and why Mike Pence did not send back the votes for recertification or approval, in that it has now been shown that he clearly had the right to do so. Trump is out of his mind. This is, I mean, this is officially losing it. It's also sort of a partial walkback of his previous statement. The previous statement was Pence could have overturned it. He seems to be walking it back by saying what Pence could and should have done is send it back to the states for recertification. Pence also can't do that, but it is a walkback of that original statement, which was even more unhinged. But the theme here is it's always someone else's responsibility and someone else's fault. Pence is to blame. Pelosi's to blame. Brad Raffensperger is to blame. Joe Biden, whoever, people who allowed voting by mail. It's never, I'm to blame because I didn't get enough votes. I didn't convince enough people to vote for me. That's never the explanation. And I saw a funny comment on Reddit about this sort of like faux mirage alpha male status of Donald Trump. And it read, what kind of person listens to him and says, yes, this is the big, strong man, as opposed to this is what it sounds like when my child loses a video game. And this is completely over the top and beyond the pale. And this is the world of a narcissist. It's we've spoken to psychologists and others before. Everything is someone else's fault. Trump blames others for losing the election. Trump blames others for not fulfilling what he believed or asked them to do in terms of overturning the election. And at the end of the day, this will never change. When you are this deluded and narcissistic, this is how everything is seen through this lens. We'll have some of these statements and clips that we looked at in this segment on our Instagram, which you can find at David Pakman Show. There are so many interesting and new types of assets anyone could invest in today: wine, sneakers, artwork, and many others. But the big question is, which ones actually make sense? And that's why I'm such a big fan of our sponsor, Alts. Alts is a newsletter that will demystify these investment markets and assets for you, whether we're talking video games or baseball cards, music rights, comic books. Alts does the analysis for you, and it's an analysis that nobody else is doing. They do extremely deep research to give you valuable insights. But Alts is not just about information. It's also about recommendations, and you can check out their excellent performance track record on their website. There are a ton of new ways to diversify your portfolio intelligently right now, but you have to know how to navigate them and understand them. And Alts makes it easy to understand. Go sign up for free at davidpakman.com/alts. The link is down below.